Hello, this is Gene. I just want to talk a little bit about yesterday's game. Ended well. I went to say that was one of the worst we played, probably since Newcastle. Um, but I said it, and I hate bringing this up, but I'm going to do it anyway because nobody really watches me anyway. I'm just this old American dude that lives in the United States. Yes, I spent some time in England and Germany. I understand how the game is played. And I sat there and said, when Liverpool didn't really press us, that they allowed us to play the game. Um, Yesterday, Southampton just was on top of us the entire game. They're going man to man, and our players just couldn't really deal with it. And there's probably something to the fact that we're at home and we don't play really well at home. We too much pressure on us, and um, but they looked like they were the better team. They actually held onto the ball, passed the ball well. Probably could have 2 or 3 goals in the first half. Second half, we played good. Uh, did Southampton deserve more than losing? Probably. They probably should have up 2 or 3 goals in the first half. But I always said when I was watching that game, up to the point that Ahmad scored, I said, if we score first, we're going to win the game. As long as it ain't that second goal, we were going to win that game. Because this team, Southampton, has only got 6 points this entire year, and it would creep into their mind that they're not going to be able to close out the game. But man to man, it didn't look like the talent was better on our side. I liked what he taken off Ugarte and all that. All that was kind of shocking, but at the same time, he was trying to. I think he was trying. Yeah, he said after the game that he was tired, but I think he was trying to do was saying, "Look, I want to take out our best player right now, just to give you guys a kick in the butt to get your act together." And also, another thing I have to sit there and say I was right about was Zertsky. Zertsky. I said if he uses physicality and controlled the ball at his feet, that he's going to be a good player for us. And he showed it yesterday. As soon as he came on, the entire game changed. And we didn't really would have need Ahmad's heroic hat trick if it wasn't for uh, Anthony would have scored or Garnacho would have scored, would have had a chance. And even when Zertsky got through, if he'd even passed or scored, we probably wouldn't have needed that. But I'm not taking anything away from Ahmad, but I think he was just at the same level as everybody else for the first 80 minutes of that game. He was trying to do things, and it's great to see him get his 3 goals. He got a little lucky on that first one, but after that he finished it and he got the goal. The second goal was great. Everything was great about that. The pass, the build up, and the finish from Ahmad was world class. And the last one, I don't know what they were doing. I don't know what that defender was doing for Southampton. You could see that Ahmad was already running to him. He could have saw him. And the thing is, the goalkeeper, Ramsdale, should have saw that because it was right in front of him. He saw that Ahmad was running after the dude, and he still gave it to that dude. So that's on the keeper more than that player in my mind. But as I sit there and I watch this stuff, and then I see all the stuff today about Garnacho and Chelsea is looking at him, and Napoli and Rashford going to Dortmund, and I'm like, I don't believe any of it. And these guys that have these huge channels on the internet are sitting there saying this and this and this, and then he says our players are this and this, and I'm like, yeah, they're fans just like me, and I don't think they see what I see. I see that we see a team that can get there. It's going to take a few bumps in the road, but this idea, I mean, all these guys would have said when Amran came in, there's no way that Harry Maguire would be able to play in that system. And I sat there and said, look, watch that game yesterday. Once Maguire came in and went to the middle, and De Ligt went to where Euro was, the game changed as well. Because as people sit there and say he likes to hit that cross field pass all the time to the wingers, and that's all he can really do. The thing is, he opens up the game with that pass, and he did it several times in that game yesterday. And De Ligt was more, what's the word, ferocious. He was going up to the ball, whereas Euro was kind of like sitting there and he got turned all the time. And I, Euro played okay. He got burned 4 or 5 times in that game, and that's going to happen. So I just look at the guy that did it. That's somebody I would look at if we're going to look at somebody that actually has space pace that could do things for us. I think he'd be somebody we should look at. But again, we had one. He went to Forrest, Alanga. And I also thought that Garnacho played pretty well too. He played average, you know. And he could have had a goal. He could have had an assist. He could have had a 7 or 8 type of performance there if he just makes a good goal. But again, when you look at that back, the defender is right there. So if he puts the ball on goal, on target, I think it's blocked because the defender's ball or foot is right there where the goal is, where it could actually go into. And I think that Garnacho kind of like responded to that, and that's why he hit it wide. You have to look at everything when you say the guy should have scored. Yeah, it was an opportunity, obviously, but it was good defending as well because the defender was there, and it made Garnacho have to actually put the ball a little bit further out, and he missed it, and that's what happened. But he also had a great pass that Anthony should have scored. I should have scored there. I don't know exactly what Anthony was doing there, but we play okay when Anthony comes on the field and he's right there with Ahmad on that side. So I think that if we don't get rid of him, he will always be somebody who could do something off the bench. But again, you think of who we actually brought in for substitutions, and they all won. They all worked for us. So, I mean, seriously, the first 80 minutes of that game, I still thought, I didn't lose hope, you know. You know, there were games that 100,000 times I've watched Manchester United where we just pepper and pepper and pepper and never goes in. You sit there and say, it's not going to happen. It's one of those games. Yesterday that didn't happen until the end. So I just felt that Southampton would give up something. And if we get lucky, if we get that first goal before they get their second, that we'd win that game. And I saw it. And yeah, but I went crazy when Ahmad got the second goal. I did. I went crazy, which we do. You see people on the internet all the time go crazy when we win or we get a goal. I'm one of those people. I'm almost 60 years old. I still do this shit. Maybe someday I'll actually film it. But of course that happens. It won't ever happen. You know, I was thinking yesterday before the game that this is one of those games that maybe I don't have to be worried the entire game and be stressed out and all that shit. I mean, there have been times in the past I've had to leave the game, not watch it because of my stress. And there's other teams, like I can't watch Seminoles much anymore, the team that I support when it comes to college football, because obviously I'm more, as much as I love Manchester United, I mean, I grew up with Florida State, went there, all that shit. You know, it's more, it's ingrained a little bit more than Manchester United, or Manchester United's been my number one team for the last 20 years overall in all of my teams that I watch. But you know, it's very difficult for me to watch because I get so upset. But I just sit there and I listen to these guys, and you know, I give them credit because they have these nice channels and all that. But I'm just listening to their analysis after the game, and it's almost always over the top. Yeah, we found out that Amron said that we're going to find out a whole lot about this team after what we did against Liverpool and Arsenal. You know, we saw that another team came in and said, you know what, I don't care that they did that to Liverpool and Arsenal. We're going to be relegated anyway, so we're gonna go up and man match them, and have them deal with that. And we just couldn't deal with it. And Amron actually said at the end of the game we had so many times that it would have been 3-3, and we couldn't get the ball to those positions. My problem is we could not get the ball to the midfield. We just could not do it. And if we're supposed to have these great midfielders, and I like Ugarte, I think he's a really good player, but he needs another playmaker by him. And I thought Mano did play pretty well yesterday, and I think he was right to be taken out. And I kept waiting that Eriksson was going to come on because we need somebody that could hold on to the ball and actually open them up. And as soon as he came on, things changed. You know, it's like, yeah, Southampton might have been going backwards a little bit. Not really. They were trying to get that second goal, and I got to give a lot of credit for that. They could have set back and play a low block for the last 30 minutes of that game and continually fall down and time wasting, which they were doing. Not as bad as Arsenal does, but they were doing that. And why shouldn't they do it? Because they need the points. You know, if they have any chance to stay in, which I don't think they do. And I have no issue with them. I like them as a football team, and the fact that they bring a lot of good players in. I think they have a good training academy. What they're known for, that's where we got Luke Shaw from, and other great players that come back out of that system that went to other places and did really well. So, but they tried to get that second goal, and that allowed the game to get a little bit open, and it helped us. It got the ball to Ahmad where he could do shit, and eventually it worked. And once we got that goal, I knew it was going to win. But when we got there, the thing is, when we get the 2-1, you're like, you know, something's going to happen. And they had a goal, a corner at the end of that game, and they had a free header, and it could have went in, but it didn't. And then, you know, Ahmad got the third goal, and great for him. You know, for 80 minutes, he was a 5 out of 10. But the last 12 minutes of that game, he was a 10 out of 10. So he clearly is the man of the match because he had the goals. But you got to give a lot of credit to Zertsky when he came on. It changed the game. Eriksson, for the 15 minutes he played, changed the game. And also Maguire, who I think is going to be the unappreciated player this year. I think that Ahmad's probably going to win a lot of Player of the Year for the team and from the fans and all that stuff. But I think that Maguire should get some votes and definitely deserves some sort of plaudits. Like I said, he's different. When he's at the middle there, in that 3 in the back, he has a lot of ability to do things. Yeah, he's not as fast as some of the other players out there. He's not as fast as De Ligt. But he's like a big eunuch, and nobody really wants to go past him. And he's great when it comes to defending corners and free kicks and everything like that. The issue now is what we're going to do with that position next to him on the right. Is that going to be De Ligt's in the big games? That's how we played against Arsenal. Or we're going to see Euro get there and get out there. My thought was always this, and I don't know if it's going to happen. I think De Ligt has to learn how to make those passes. I do, and I think that he doesn't really read the game as much as Maguire. And he's not really at the same level at that position as Maguire is. Now, Maguire can't play where he plays out there on the right. He can't do it. So De Ligt is more versatile when it comes to that. But in that position, in the middle of the field like that, Maguire is clearly our best player there. And is it going to be that? And we're going to have De Ligt, Maguire, and Martinez. I think that works, but then the wing backs have to be something. If it's going to be somebody that can actually defend and have an offensive threat, we got to find those type of players, and we don't really have that. You could put Ahmad out there, but he can be okay defensively. But there's a reason why the Euro was getting burned, because where was Ahmad during that entire time? I mean, where was he? That side got burned the entire game until De Ligt moved over, and I think at that point, when it was 1-1 especially, Southampton kind of like went back a little bit, but they still trying to get that second goal. They were doing everything they could do, and I just give them a lot of credit for doing that. They don't need to do that. They could take the point or the 3 points and just shut up shops, but they didn't do it. They tried to keep playing, and they looked like they were a better footballer, a better football team than we were with the ball at their feet. They have good players on that team. And I think we should look at that player with Zubaleta or whatever his name is. I think that's somebody we need to look at to see maybe he's the type of player we can get if it actually falls into our system. And, you know, again, I think Garnacho played well, and he's learning. You look at where he started playing under the system, and he looked like he kept going into cul-de-sacs, and he was getting the ball taken off of him. Now he either tracks back, or he nicks Mike's pass, or he actually gets to the byline and brings it back. He is showing his improvement. There is no reason why we should sell Garnacho. I'm sorry. He's a Premiership proven player. He was our best player last year. There's just no reason why we should do this. And yes, if he was a little bit better when it comes to his finishing this year, he'd have 7 or 8 goals. and he'd probably have 3 or 4 more assists if our players could actually finish. So, I mean, you can't blame him for that pass he gave to an Anthony. It was perfect. Anybody that has ever played the game should be able to put that ball in the net. I don't know what Anthony was trying to do. Like he was maybe going to slide it in. I just don't. I don't. It should have been just a tap in, and I just don't understand what happened there. But again, Anthony doesn't. You know, his confidence is probably not right there. He can do that job where he comes out and holds on to it and passes it up to people like that. I think he's good there. But I guess the other part, he needs a goal. Probably needs more time to play. And we'll see what happens on Sunday. I don't know what we're going to do with this. I think Maguire is going to start in the middle. And I think that De Ligt's going to probably play on the right, where Jorg was. And Martinez might play there. Or he might shuffle it up. I think clearly Maguire is going to play. And it's possible that when did Jorg take off? He's still in the game pretty much the entire game. We'll see. I mean, it's three games away. And Brighton's better. Hold on to the ball. But they don't really press as much as what we saw. So we'll see what they do. If they try to just outplay us and break us down and that type of thing, I think it'll be an even game. And we have to look at where we are right now. I think we're at that level. We're at the Brightons, the Bournemouths. I think we're above West Ham. Okay, right now West Ham is above us, I think, or right behind us. On goal difference, they're behind us. I think we're in the top 8, based on what we have right now. Until we have an actual preseason and bring some players in, get rid of some players, maybe promote some guys from the academy. I mean, Collier looked great again. I mean, he looks good. And just saying it, it's only been 2 games. I think he's better than Mainoo already. He looks like Keane but bigger, and he's got more pace than Mainoo does. And I think that Mainoo has to he has to up his game, or he's going to lose. It's going to be him and Ugarte. It's going to be Collier and Ugarte right there, and Mainoo's going to be on the bench. So. He's a more physical player. As much as Mainoo can be physical, he's got the strong shoulders. He has that low center of gravity, and he holds on the ball really well. He just kind of holds on to a little bit too much. When we actually pass the ball a little bit and do it quickly, we can beat anybody. And that's all Eriksen did. They just you hit it to me, one touch, boom, bam, goal. And I just wish that we had Eriksen with a little bit more pace, because there's no way we get rid of him. He's clearly one of the best tactically players on our team. When you look at the entire 25 players that play, and who's the best when the ball at his feet, it's Eriksen. And it's not even really close when it comes to that. And his IQ is one of the highest too. He's like I'm losing his name. The guy from Croatia. The former Ballon d'Or player. This is killing me. I can see him too. Modric. He's kind of like he's in that. He's a little bit below Modric, but they're similar. But we'll see. Maybe Collier will start. And Ugarte only played 52 minutes. And again, it was interesting that he hooked him. Ugarte was upset, but he said that he was tired, and he also got hooked against Arsenal as well. So, but the thing is, the dude gives everything. So when the coach knows him and says this is the end of him, I don't want him to get hurt. That's the most he can give at that pace. So he knows that, and he has to bring him out. No problem with that. And we ended up winning that game, and it's not all of a sudden that this was the first time that he's been out of the game after he started that we didn't lose the midfield battle. It's like it didn't really change much. Southampton was giving us shit, but we looked much better because we had Xerxes was in there, and the ball was getting past midfield, and it gets to Xerxes, and he was actually holding onto the ball. And that's the biggest problem we have in this system, that Rasmus has to be able to hold onto the ball. And I said this before, and it's like, why is this dude again from America is saying this is the problem with how we're playing that position, the number 9, and I said that clearly Xerxes is a better player with the ball at his feet, and he holds on to the ball better than Raspin. And all these guys said this: Mark Goldridge, Sam Peoples, um, I even what's his face from Strata Packfit, Stephen Housen was saying that Rasmus holds on to the ball better. He's I've never seen that. I think that clearly, not only is he bigger and stronger, he's Xerxes better with the ball at his feet. And all I said, he's got to get used to the pace of the game in the Premiership. Once he figures that out and the confidence, he's going to be great. He's going to be a beast, and he's going to be a great player for us. It's there, and I can see it. And when Rasmus was off and he came on, I said we have a chance. And what happened right away? The ball got to him because we tried to get the ball to Rasmus the entire fucking game. We did. He cannot hold onto the ball. He doesn't, where he's strong. It's a strong lad, of course, but his lower center of gravity is not that strong. That's why he continually goes down. People say he's diving. I think he just doesn't have any power there. And then you look at Xerxes, he's strong up here, but his back, well, he showed what he did there yesterday when he grabbed his crotch, which is stupid. But anyway, he showed that he has that power in his thighs and everything like that. And this is the thing that Rasmus has to do. But maybe it won't do that. Maybe it'd be better for him to be on the other side, but he doesn't have that ability either. Rasmus was built as when we were built as a transitional, a counterattack type of team with his pace. That's what he was bought for. He's not really good for this type of system. Doesn't mean he can't improve. He's a young player. He can. But he needs to do it. He needs to sit there after practice and continually do this and get people out there that are on the sides and not playing as much and having them hit the ball to him and just continually figure it out that his touch is not, he's not Lukaku, but I think Lukaku's better when it comes to holding on to the ball. And remember all the shit we used to give Lukaku about his first touch? He has to be better here. Now, when he turns and he's going to the goal, he's good. He's very good. He'll pass the bay off. He's not very selfish. He does what he has to do. But with his ball, his back to goal, he has to be better. He has to be more physical. He has to look at Xerxes and saw how he played that game. Use his body. Again, he's not as big, but he could definitely do something about it up here. He can get a little bit wider if he wants to. This is what Rashford did, and I think that really hurt his career as a winger. He tried to somehow became our number 9, and he got bigger up here, and I think he lost his pace, whether it was injuries or just getting older. He lost that first step, and it kind of like messed up his game. Doesn't mean he won't go out somewhere else and be great, but you could look at his body size and how it changed over the last 5 or 6 years, and I think that caused him to be different. And I think he wanted to be like Ronaldo, come from the outside to come to the middle and become the greatest number 9 that we had under Ronaldo. I think that's in his mind. I think he thought he was going to do this, and he has some of that attributes, but not enough. But anyway, but overall, probably a 4 out of 10 as a team performance. But we didn't give up. We kept going forward. We got the goal we needed, and it was lucky, but we got a goal. I mean, they got their goal, an own goal, so whatever. So, we just have to just move on from it. And Brighton's is a better team. I think it'll be a very close game. Depends on who we play with, who we actually start, but I think we'll win the game. The thing is, we have to win the game. We have to get to a point where we don't have to worry about relegation anymore. And then he can really change out players, see other players, because this is really preseason for him. So we'll see more and more about Euro. Might see other players, more Collier. We'll see more players like that playing, starting, and we'll see what we're going to see. And just for my own, because everybody talks he's the great one. He's going to be the next great players, right? That Mane is going to be the greatest player ever. And even Ahmad, we're going to be this greatest player ever. We need to bring down the hype, because Manu needs to understand what he just saw when he was sitting on the bench yesterday. I think he has to be like that dude that came on. And you have to, when you're in the middle of midfield, you have to show your strength, your physicality, how you handle the ball. And you can't be slow to certain things. You have to make decisions, and I think maybe he'll see that. And he knows he played with him on the youth team, so he knows how good this guy is. They're about the same age anyway, so he knows how good he is. He has to understand that if he wants to start every year, every game, he has to be at that level when he comes on. And it's just to see that this guy's played really great against Arsenal. He played really good when he came on, and I swear he's an old school defender, midfielder, but he is also modern because he's fast and skillful. And I think this guy's going to be really good. I really do. I think you got him. I could see it with him there, and you got Xerxes up front. Once they get past all this shit and they use their talent and their physicality, it's not McTominay part two. It's somebody that's like McTominay but better in all other areas. So we'll see what happens with that, because I think this guy could be really, really good. And I don't want to overhype him and sit there what I said about Ahmad and Manu, but we have to quell our expectations. And these guys can't get big heads, is what I'm saying. And if they do that, then we got another young player that came to the academy that could definitely be with us for 5 or 6 or 7 years and could lead us to good things. And with them and Ugarte and Manu in the midfield, it could be something really special. But anyway, I'm going to stop right there. Been talking for almost 27 minutes. Let's see what happens on Saturday or Sunday. It's the NFL this weekend, divisional reigns. Just giving my predictions. I mean, nobody's going to watch this till now anyway. But I do believe there's a possibility that the Rams might actually beat Philadelphia. There's a lot of people call that. But you're talking about a team that won the Super Bowl a couple of years ago. And they have the players on that team. And there's two really good players that play at Florida State that play on their defense. We'll see. If the game's close early in the first half, I think that LA wins that game. The Bills versus who they got? The Ravens. It's the Bills Stadium. It's one of those weird. These are both really good quarterbacks, and whoever loses that game is going to say they're not good enough. I hope it's a good game. I'm going to say the Bills, but I wouldn't be shocked if the Ravens win. And then Kansas City is playing the Texans. I mean, it should be a 14-point win for Kansas City. Yeah, they got blown out their last game of the season, but they're at home. They're the defending champions. You expect they're going to win the neighborhood of like 24-10. I just don't. I mean, yes, the Texans have a good quarterback. They have decent players. We'll see. I mean, Kansas City has not been, even though they've won 15 games this year, they haven't been that impressive. But they have a really good defense, and they do have the best quarterback in the NFL. And what was the last one? It's the Detroit versus who beat Pennsylvania? No. Oh, Washington, right? This could be a really interesting game. First of all, Washington should have not beat Tampa. Tampa gave the game to him, and I'm biased because I like Tampa because that's where I grew up once I moved out of Illinois. But if they don't lose the ball down at the end of that game, I think that Tampa wins that game. But I think it's one of those of the first quarter, first half. If the Lions come out and they blow them out early, then it's going to be a blowout type of game. But I think that it might come down. It'll be a one possession game until I think at the end that in the fourth quarter with about 5 or 6 minutes left, the Lions will get it up to be 14 points or 15 points, and that'll be the end of the game. I think it might be a high-scoring game. It might be like 35-30 or 35-28 or something like that. And then late at the game, they get a second score touchdown. It would not shock me at all if Washington wins that game. And it would not shock me at all if, I mean, I guess what I'm saying at that point is that it's probably going to be chalk, right? It's going to be Kansas City against the Bills for the AFC Championship game. That's 1 against number 2. And then I think, but I still think it's going to be, everybody wants this, I think. The NFL wants this. They want the Detroit Lions versus LA. in Detroit in the NFC Championship game because you got the former Stafford, um, the Hall of Famer from LA that played for Detroit in Detroit. I mean, from entertainment type of thing, and you also have the fires in LA, so you have that they're doing everything for people in LA. So yeah, so I'm going to say that LA versus Detroit in the NFC Championship game, and the number two, Kansas City against the Bills in Kansas City for the NFC AFC Championship game. And if that happens, I don't want to see a rematch. I want Detroit versus the Bills. As much as I would love to see LA again against Kansas City or whatever, but it's Detroit versus the Bills. And I'm not a Bills fan, but Josh Allen's deserves at least to get to a Super Bowl. Golf has already been there, but they at least have a. They deserve to get there, and he deserves to get there. And if he doesn't win the MVP and he ends up get to the Super Bowl and winning that, that's more important anyway. All right, I'll stop right there. It's been 31 minutes. Thank you for watching this long. If you want to, please share, subscribe, and share it, whatever. I'm not trying to get to 1,000, but if I get to 1,000, I can do other things on this channel, I guess. They say you get to 1,000, you can do shit. And I've been sitting around 600 for forever because I didn't ask anybody to subscribe. But anyway, thank you for watching, and we'll talk to you later.